Cyber Reapers. Hello, Cyber Reapers. So, tonight, or today, whenever, wherever you are, I would like to talk about a book. So tonight, I've got a contemporary for you, and I wanted to clarify that because the book talks about mermaids, and so I just want to be clear that it's not like a fantasy book with mermaids in it. It's okay. That's the preface for the book. Now, the preface for me is that I'm glad that I read this book recently. Because it's made me feel a little better about my, just taking a bit of a break from just constantly doing things. Because I was kind of forced to a couple days ago. Wait, was it a couple days ago? Yeah, okay, wait. So I donated blood, and that took a lot out of me. It drained me quite a bit because I think this was either my first time or my second time, and it's been maybe 3 years or so. Like, I did it back in college, donated blood. So it's been a while, and it hit me hard. So even though I snacked quite a bit, I had hearty meals, and I drank plenty of all kinds of fluids, water, tea, lemonade, Gatorade, lots of stuff. The staff were very nice, and they made sure I ate plenty of things. So even with that, for the next at least 24 hours, like it was the rest of that day and the day after, I just felt completely wiped out. My energy was so low, I felt like I could fall asleep at almost any point in time. And so I didn't end up writing, I didn't end up reading, I didn't end up doing virtually anything. I really kind of just, I just kind of listened to videos and like played a game, like a little like game that doesn't require a lot of thought. And at first I felt a little sucky doing it, but I've actually, after a little bit, I was going, no, I need this rest. There's not much I can do about the state of my body right now. And so I just kind of kept going with that mindset, and today I feel much better. Today's the first day I actually feel up for things again. So I went back to, doing my regular schedule of things, of door dashing and exercising and showering and all of the things that I just did not feel up to doing for the past day and a half or so. So that's why I'm recording this now, because I just could not do it over the past couple of days. And even now, it might be a little shorter than usual because I'm feeling still kind of achy. That, though, I think is mostly the getting back into exercise, but besides the point. All this to say, kind of, I feel like it kind of ties in with the book as well, of understanding your body, its capability, its limitations, but also like understanding just how much you can, how much you're in tune with your own self. And although other people might have expertise on like what you're going through, you yourself are the one who is most in tune with your body. And yeah, let's get into the book then and talk about how that applies, right? Or you'll see how it applies. I might not come back to exactly explaining it. So the book is called Breathe and Count Back from 10 by Natalia Sylvester. So our main character, her name is Veronica. She is a Peruvian American teenager, and she has hip dysplasia. And that essentially means, like, if you visualize, like, the hip socket, like, say, imagine the pelvis, right? Does this work for a visualization? The pelvis, and one of her legs, instead of having it fit right into the socket of the pelvis. One of her leg bones is just a little bit over in comparison to how most bodies are. And so that affects her walking and just generally a lot of her daily life. But while she's swimming, she doesn't feel it as much, and really actually swimming helps keep her fitness and her body in general just healthy. So she likes to swim quite a bit. And especially given that she loves mermaids, or the idea of mermaids, she really likes swimming for that reason as well. And she lives in an area where there's like this tourist attraction where a bunch of people, dress up and perform as mermaids. And it's just something that's always been part of Veronica's life. Just growing up, she's always really loved the mermaids there at the Cove. Is it called the Cove? Am I just making that up? We're just gonna go with that for now. At the mermaid place, she really loves the mermaids there. And unfortunately, her father doesn't. He kind of, Veronica's parents are kind of, they're kind of on the conservative side when it comes to, they're kind of a little sexist, and they don't want Veronica hanging out with boys. They don't want her to have anything to do with the mermaid stuff. It shows too much skin for her parents' liking, and just it feels like it feels like fantasy stuff and not grounded in real life. They want Veronica to be able to get a good job in the future, so this book takes place in the summer before her senior year of high school. So she's she's in that stage where it's, a lot of her future is starting to be a lot of preparing for college and preparing for life and a career and all of that is starting to become a lot more relevant. And yeah, that's a relatable level of stress for that time period. She endures quite a bit of stress because on top of wanting to get a good job and all of that, and her parents kind of pressuring her into that, and also her not wanting to let them down because they immigrated to the United States in order to hopefully give Veronica and her sister Danny a better life, so she doesn't want to let them down, even though she feels they can be too strict. I mean, she also obviously loves them and doesn't want to let them down. And so that's just kind of a tough situation for her to be in, where she has her own wants and needs that conflict with what her parents want from her, and she doesn't exactly know how to express them just yet, express her wants and her reasoning, I guess. And they kind of keep some stuff about her, what's going on with her medically, they keep some of that from her too, as a way of trying to protect her. But at the same time, when she finds out, it feels like she's not in control of her own body if she doesn't even know what's happening to it. And it's already enough with having hip dysplasia, having that affect her life so much, to also have her parents not communicating with her about it. It's rough. So there's all of that. And there's also her social life, where her parents don't want her hanging out with boys, they don't want her getting pregnant and if they even see her, like, touching a boy or a boy touching her, they assume the absolute worst. So that's rough, especially because a boy moves in to the apartment complex where they live, and, well, he's new and he's cute and fun to hang around, so Veronica starts spending more time with him and keeps that a secret from her parents. It's one of many secrets that are to come. So yeah, I think that's kind of setting up how Veronica's life kind of currently is. And yeah, for this summer, the next kind of step of the plot is when auditions open for the mermaid place. They're looking for a new mermaid. And yeah, so that's an exciting possibility for Veronica to try out. I mean, she's a very good swimmer, and she's been, dreaming of being a mermaid for quite a long time. This would be an amazing opportunity, except she's under 18, and her parents would have to sign some things for her to even be able to take the job, assuming she does well enough in the auditions to actually make the cut. So yeah, so she debates whether she's going to audition at all, because she determines that she would pretty much have to keep it a secret from her parents because they just would not approve. So shenanigans ensue because of that, and that includes lying and secrets and all kinds of stuff. So, but that's kind of mostly where the plot goes. It's about Veronica's relationship to her body and her relationships with other people, and her finding her autonomy, and her voice, really, I think, in particular. And it's balancing her own wants for how she wants to live her life, while also honoring her parents and respecting her parents, but also acknowledging that they sometimes do not let her speak or let her get her opinion in or her voice in to the conversation about her own life and her own body. And so it's a lot of that. It's a lot of navigating and figuring out like her starting to become an adult, or being very close to being an adult. And I absolutely love the way that story was told in this particular case. Because, I mean, you got the mermaid aspect, and you've also got the disability aspect, and the, like, immigration aspect, and just, like, there's so many levels to how Veronica's individual experience of growing up and her becoming an adult. There's just so much that makes it so individual to her, and I loved being inside her head the whole time for it, because she feels like a really safe space to be, if that makes sense, as you're following her journey. I was super proud for her by the end of the book, to see her character growth, and even her parents' their character growth too. I won't say too much on that, but I'll just say generally it's a heartwarming story. And yes, also there is a love interest, so there's a romance subplot to it as well, and that tackles mental health. I won't go too deep into that, but just know that that's there. And of course, in terms of diversity, the cast has people of color, and they also have LGBT characters, and it's just, it feels like a unique story, that just, like, I don't think I could ever get sick of coming of age kind of stories, where there's, the protagonist feels very unique, and isn't just like a stand-in of, like, the reader jumping into the story. While, I mean, those books are great, they have their place, I just feel like I connect a lot more with the ones that take me outside of my own head. And I'm going, ah, yes, this is Veronica. This is her story. I am learning about her and her growth, her autonomy, just her relationships, and how she interacts with the world. And I absolutely love that. So that's just, I feel like this was just a lovely experience. This book, you know. Yeah. I will also say too that I think it's been about a week or so since I read the book, at least. So my thoughts aren't super fresh, but these are kind of the thoughts I have that have lingered, and I wanted to make sure to get a video of this because I really did like this story. It's just, I had so many things come up in my schedule that it made it difficult for me to like work in time to do this. But I'm here now, and yeah, these are my lingering thoughts. So yeah, I'm gonna check my notes, make sure there's not anything I missed. I maybe have. Let's see. Okay, I did forget a few things, but I remember now. So, just talking a little bit more about Veronica's family. I mentioned that she has a sister named Danny. Actually, I don't know if I named her, but she has a sister named Danny. You know that now if you didn't know that before. And with how close they are, they share a same room. They share a same computer. They are just around each other a lot. And with how like close they are all the time, I just kind of knew that there had to be tension there that was unresolved, or that was growing, and you can see it through the book, and I just knew that it was going somewhere, and I knew they had to address it. And although I knew it would be difficult, when they did, it just felt so satisfying, because it made sense it made sense, each of their perspectives, and it just, yeah, it hit hard, especially because I feel like there's a lot of difference between their bodies, because Danny is very athletic, and she isn't disabled. She does cartwheels all the time whenever she's walking. She plays all kinds of sports, and Veronica notices that, and like, Veronica is primarily swimming and can't like walk as quickly as Danny can, and so it's there's tension there of like how the parents pay attention to each of them, and really it mostly boils down to the parents, and I'm not sure how much I can explain without going into super detail, so I maybe won't, but just to mention that there is tension between the two of them, especially in how different their bodies are, and it's really cathartic when they actually address it, you know. And in addition, another family thing is that there are plenty of lines of Spanish in the book, so I got to practice some of my Spanish learning. Just to clarify, I'm not actively learning Spanish as much as I took a year of it, and I don't remember a lot of it, but I remember Latin quite a bit because I took 5 years of that, and it's to the point where I can mostly read something in Spanish, and based on the roots and my pre-knowledge of Spanish, I can generally kind of understand what's being said, and grammatically I can piece things together quite easily, but it's just the vocabulary I have trouble with sometimes, and so reading it on my tablet really helped with that, because I got to just highlight the words and look it up in Google Translate, or whatever it was. It might not have been Google Translate, it's just Translate on whatever app it was. Yeah, maybe Kindle has its own, I don't know. Anyhow though, I got to look it up and translate words, so that was fun, and check myself and go, oh, that's a swear word, got it. So, yeah, just, that was fun. I enjoyed that. I feel like I haven't read many books where Spanish is prevalent, and I really should, especially given the area that I live. I'm in Houston, and especially given my family, too. One of these days, I'm gonna just start speaking Spanish at them, and they'll be surprised. Probably not. I don't think I could get good enough to really hold a conversation in Spanish with my relatives, but that's okay. That's okay, I guess, maybe. I don't know. All this to say, I enjoyed that there were Spanish lines in the book, and that I got to look up the meanings and everything. It drew me into the story more, to be able to connect with her family more. Yeah. And, so kind of adjacent-ish, I guess. I don't know. We're jumping over to this now. Each chapter starts with a definition. It starts with a word and the word's definition. And beneath that, there's Veronica's definition of it. So it starts with a word, the definition that, most people use, and then, like, Veronica's, based on her experience and her feelings on the word, she'll kind of describe what it means to her, briefly, but it's really neat. It sets the tone for each chapter, and it helps me get inside her head a little bit more. And it's also in the book. It's one of her therapy techniques, therapy suggestions, ideas, that a therapist suggested to her, to write out her own definitions of words. I'm trying to remember what that was for specifically. Like why the therapist suggested it. I don't remember that part, but I do remember that it was a suggestion, and so having the book kind of, having each chapter have that sort of framework, with the definition for each one, felt like a really interesting way of setting the tone, while also kind of being a meta sort of, or bringing a meta sort of feel to the book, because it's included in the book as a technique that Veronica does and discusses, like how she discusses that some words she just doesn't think she'll ever come up with a personal definition for, stuff like that. And so I found that neat. I like when I find books that have some kind of, how do I describe, some kind of extra thing to them that bring you into the story based on the formatting of the book, I guess. Like chapter titles or definitions per chapter or quotes. Just stuff like that is really, really interesting to explore. And I've just barely started branching out to do that in my own writing, to play around with that kind of thing. And it's pretty freeing, actually, to do that, just like a little bit, and I'm curious to see how that might develop in the future. But yeah, I really liked how the book did that with definitions of words, and kind of had Veronica's own, like, personal dictionary being kind of in her story. Yeah, I really like that. And I also really love the cover. It looks really pretty, in case I haven't shown that yet. I don't think I have. Because, yeah, there's just, it just looks so pretty. And also, I feel like, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on this level of screen. Maybe you have to look up the title on your own. But there is actually the scar on Veronica's leg that's shown on there. And that's talked about in the book as being, how do I describe without revealing that plot point? I'm trying to come up with how to say it. Whether it is seen is important to her. In some cases, she wants it hidden. In other cases, she wants it shown. And throughout the book, you kind of notice a trend of how she changes her demeanor about it, about her scar, and who sees it, you know? And so, I think it's really neat that it's on the cover. Yeah. Okay. So, I think that's kind of all I had to say from all my lingering thoughts that I had about the book. Because these notes were actually, I wrote these down today, because I noticed that I'm pretty late on posting this book, or my thoughts about this book. And it really, it's not the book itself that caused me to do that. It was really just so many things that happened this week, and I still have, this weekend is fully booked, so I have lots to do. Hopefully I'll get more reading time, though, incorporated this weekend as well, and we'll see about that, or I'll see, I guess. Yeah, so I think this book was just generally, it was healing. It was healing and cathartic. So, yeah. Okay, so I guess that's all. Thank you so much for listening. You are an awesome listener. And whatever you do next, I hope that it is fun and or relaxing and or feels worthwhile to you. Ideally all three. Me, I think I might either read or sleep. Or maybe edit this video if I feel like it. We'll see. Who knows? Might get a little crazy and do something productive, quote-unquote productive. I don't like putting that label on things anymore if I can help it. So, alright.